I think it's really important. First of all, it's great to be with you all here. I know you've had a full day, and I hope to add some real value to you in this brief time. I think it's really critical that you understand that everybody wants to grow their business, and we all go through different phases, right? Just like human beings go through phases. You know, you give birth to your business, and you're an infant, and an infant is a run for survival, and cash flow problems are a natural process in most cases, and you're running. Hopefully you get to a teenager where now cash flow is not a problem, you're growing like crazy, and then you have a new problem. You don't have systems in place. And maybe you get to young adult where you have to decide what you're not going to do. Eventually, hopefully you get to prime, where you're growing your business revenues and you're growing your profits and you got a professional organization, you're not doing it. Because as long as you're doing it, really you don't have a business. What you have is you're self-employed. There's nothing wrong with being self-employed. But whenever you meet someone who's in business is stressed, they're always a business operator. And my focus is to become a business owner. How do you do that? You realize that the chokehold in the growth of your business is always the leader. And it's your skills and it's your psychology. And I found it's 80% psychology and 20% skills. You gotta have the marketing skills. You gotta be able to lead. You gotta be able to recruit. You gotta do all those things. But really, most importantly, you gotta get it through what I call the threshold of control. And this, to me, is the secret to really succeeding in business. And it's pretty simplistic. How many of you snowboard or ski? Anybody out there snowboard or ski? Give you a sense? So most people are terminally intermediate when they get into that sport, right? You know, they really never get that good. They're not really a belonger. They're kind of in the middle, and they never get much better. And I think the reason is they never push themselves beyond what they can handle, right? You're used to greens or blues, and you find yourself on a double black, and what happens? Everything inside you freaks out because you're past what I call the threshold of control, your comfort zone. And you look down and you go, I could die doing this. So now you have two choices. Either most people slam themselves on the ground and hang on for dear life and try not to skid off the cliff, and at best what you do is survive, or a few people let go of their fear, no matter how scary it is, and goes, I gotta go down this thing, and there's no other choice, and they focus on where they wanna go instead of what they're afraid of. And they find a way to carve. And once you carve a few of them, that double black is your bitch, right? You don't have to worry about that anymore, right? And so that's what happens in business. So for me, I can remember going and starting my first business in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. I got on a radio show, and this person, it was a shock jock radio show, and I didn't know it, and they started attacking me and saying I'm a liar and a charlatan, you can't do these things. And this therapist called me up and said, you know what, I've dealt with people forever. You can't wipe out a phobia in less than an hour. It can take 7 years. I have a patient right now I've worked with for 7 years, and I've been able to solve this. And I said, great, bring that patient tonight. I'm doing a free guest event at the Holiday Inn, and I'll take care of that. It should take me 10 or 15 minutes. Right? And
you
so
do it?
I did it, and I was able to do it. I wrapped a snake around this woman. She had a snake phobia. A phobia is an uncontrollable response. So because of that, I had people coming to these guest events like crazy, and I thought I hit the home run, right? And I did this big guest event. There was like 1,000 people there, which for me would be like, I don't know, 100,000 people in an event right now. And after I was done, a bunch of people signed up for my seminar because I did a free value-add event, and then I would invite them to come spend 3 days with me. And this man walks up to me, and he's from immigration. He goes, great seminar. He goes, I'd like to see your work permit. And I said, what's a work permit, right? You know, when you're in big business, you don't know these things, right? He goes, well, to work in this country, you need a work permit. And he said, I'll tell you what, I got to see you tomorrow at 5:30. I was, well, my seminar starts at 7. He goes, you'll be fine, just you got to be there at 5:30. He said, I'm not asking, it's a requirement. So I show up at 5:30, I wait for half an hour, now I'm starting to stress. And finally I sit down with a guy and he says, you're taking away Canadian jobs. I said, how many Canadian firewalkers are there? Come on, that's what I was doing those days. And he said, no, you teach NLP skills, neurolinguistic programming, and these people have classes of 20 people and you got a class of 500. And so they say you're taking jobs, so your event is over. So what do you mean your event's over? He goes, if you walk on that stage tonight, we will handcuff you and deport you. This is what I call a threshold of control. He says, you're gonna have to give the money back. I said, I can't give the money back. I spent all the money to put on the seminar. I wasn't a good businessman. I just wanted to help everybody, right? So I spent all the money to do it. And he goes, you have no money? Well, then you're gonna have to deal with that. So I walked out of the building. I have 40 minutes. People are gonna arrive. I can't go on stage. What do? I told my 3 staff members, 2 of which were volunteers, what happened. They're like, and I said, here's what we're doing. I'm doing this seminar. And they said, you're gonna go to jail. I said, I'm not going to jail. I said, how close is the border? True story. And they said, well, this place called Bellingham, Washington, it's about an hour and 40 minutes. I said, rent me 6 buses And I'll meet the people up front before they go in the hotel, so it's not a problem. I met everybody up front. They said, this is a traveling seminar. It's a surprise, right?
We're going to Bellingham.
We're going to America. And it was a 3-day seminar. We had to go and come back each day and night for 3 days in a row. I got all but 4 people to agree to do it. And then I got to Bellingham, Washington at the Holiday Inn there, and there was like a bar mitzvah or a wedding or some stuff next door. And it was so loud you couldn't hear anybody. And so I said, just lie on the floor, close your eyes, I'm gonna hypnotize you into this shit, right? You know? But so what happened was you learn how to get through that, right? And we learn how to be resourceful. When you realize that your problem is not a lack of resources, it's not a lack of money or technology or contacts, it's not. It's your psychology. Because the ultimate resource is resourcefulness. And human emotion, that's what starts wars, that's what makes a business begin, that's how you have children, that's how we end wars, it's all emotion. And so what I really learned to do is how to manage my emotions. So, you know, once you solve that one, the next one shows up. I started a franchise, and a couple franchisees were really upset when one of the people representing on my side said they didn't make things clear to them. You know, it's all bullshit, but it cost me $5 million in 4 years. I thought the first one was like a $50,000 challenge. Now I got a $5 million challenge. And I took all the money I'd saved in my entire career to pay that off, and I was starting over again. And then I grew from that. And then I finally got, I had a partner in business, and long story short, he had a business that was losing $1 million a day, and he turned it around and making $1.8 billion in EBITDA. He offered me his partner, and I signed a document saying we're all joint and several. There's $40 million in debt. I figured I had $10 million of the debt. I have $1.8 billion in infrastructure. And it turned out my partners, 2 of them were broke. They weren't billionaires. They had lost their money. And the other one was the son of a billionaire, and his dad had given him nothing and $5 million to his name. So I was on the hook shortly after for $120 million when they didn't have $120 million. I figured out how to deal with that. By doing that, I eventually took my companies to this year will surpass $6 billion in 33 companies because I made it through the threshold of control. So I want you to know, when you see these big numbers by any entrepreneur, they all started with blocking and tackling, and they all started with how do I get both the skill and, more importantly, the psychology. You can get the skill if you can get that part of you that just doesn't die, the part of you that finds the way to add more value than anybody else so you can keep growing.